आज की ताज़ा खबर। बेंगलुरु में रहने वाले लू और अमेरिका में रहने वाले सिड आपसे कुछ बात करना चाहते हैं। संगीतकार राजेश के साथ आपका स्वागत है लूसिड में।
What's going on, people? I'm Lew.
And I'm Sid.
And we are Lucid. So, welcome to another episode, folks. Sid, do you want to say something?
No, I'm really excited for this episode. That's about it.
Actually, me too. I mean, right before we just started, guys, we both, Sid and I, were like just having a small conversation on what exactly we wanted to talk.
Yeah.
And both of us were just like bouncing off each other's thoughts, and then we were just like, no, wait, let's stop. Let's just dive in and let's do this in the podcast itself. So, very, very excited for today's episode here too, me as well. Because today's episode is going to be in a kind of space that both of us have not really explored a lot. So there's going to be a lot of speculation. There's going to be a lot of personal experiences like with these technologies, and also what we have kind of seen and what we kind of feel and think about these things, because we don't really have an expert with us right now, but it's all going to be our thoughts, and we have not really done this kind of an episode till date.
But
and I think I'm very excited for and I'm very excited for doing this. What about you, Sid?
Definitely, bro, definitely. I think right before I went on my trek, you were like, do you want to do an episode on these topics? And you were like, I've read a lot about it, but I need another person to bounce ideas off. I just can't talk about it. And
Right.
I'm like, okay, cool. I know about these, but I still need to research. So yeah, we took like some time to read about it, understand, and think about it. So yeah, let's see how this episode
Yeah.
pans out.
Yeah, and when we're talking about these technologies, these things, what we're saying in specific are these two different new technologies by OpenAI. They're called GPT-3 and DALLE-2. And for the past, I guess, 1 month or more than a month now, I have been super excited about these things. Super excited and very skeptical. And was talking to Sid a lot about these things. Anyways, let's just dive into
Yeah.
it. So before okay, these things are AIs, guys, artificial intelligence. Okay, so Sid, what is artificial intelligence?
Oof. What is artificial intelligence? Basically, computers acting as humans. Whatever humans can do, make a what? If computers can do this exact same thing, that is artificial intelligence. Till now, computers have been programmed by human beings. Say, like, you want to calculate something, calculator. You want to write a program to execute something, say, hello world, or launch a satellite to the moon, or a rocket to the moon. We've programmed computers to do that till now. The next step is, what if we can program computers to think for themselves and produce results? That is basically artificial intelligence.
Right. And I mean, you guys have used artificial intelligence. We have used artificial intelligence. Whatever customer service you're talking to, they are not humans, guys. Just FYI, they are not humans. They are bots. And there are a lot of bots that you interact with every single day. You just don't know about, probably. But artificial intelligence is already seeped in throughout our lives. And what we are currently discussing or going to be discussing is something called artificial general intelligence, which takes it a step higher. So artificial intelligence can be divided into two things, which is task specific and general artificial intelligence. So when we say task specific, so you create an AI which does a certain set of functions, or it learns from these functions for a particular role. So it's like a person, like a worker in a factory. As he does his work, he gets better and better at his work, but it's the same work that he can do. But when you talk about artificial general intelligence, it's like a manager, okay? And we are all about managers and talking about, all these management stuff here. So we really like the idea of artificial general intelligence, because you get into the ambiguity framework here. you get into these bits and pieces where computers have to really make decisions like human beings, and that is just super fascinating. And that is what OpenAI is currently doing with these technologies. So Sid, my next question to you: what is OpenAI?
Bro, but before that, like, just to give like an example of what task specific
Sure, go
AIs
ahead.
are, I think like one example is like our Google Assistants, Siri. It learns
Yeah.
from our, our whatever instructions we've given previously, and especially Google search. Like my Google search, your Google search is completely different, right?
Right,
So it
right.
recommends you according to your personalization. So all this is artificial intelligence itself because it's learning day by day, right? It's not like any person is programming them to provide the recommendations every day. It's learning from the inputs you are giving itself. So those are like task specific examples, and examples of like general what is that again, general what?
Artificial general intelligence,
Yes.
AGI.
AGI, artificial general intelligence, is basically like if a computer can converse with you like a human being. Like as you said, chatbots.
Yes.
Currently, chatbots are such that it
They're
just
still task specific.
exactly. It'll ask you specific questions, and if you don't answer it in a correct, structured manner, or you don't choose an option, it won't reply properly, or it'll go haywire. So that's what I'm really interested in. I really like the fact that you spoke about ambiguity, because that's,
Right.
I think after joining a master's program, everywhere I've heard is just ambiguity. And
Yeah. It depends.
yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
And when you brought it up here, I'm like, yeah, damn, I did not think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah,
So,
coming back
what is
to
OpenAI?
your question, yes. OpenAI is basically this non-profit organization. Again, one of the co-founded companies by Elon Musk, guys.
That dude just wants to be there everywhere. Anyways.
Yeah. So it's basically a team of researchers, scientists, computer engineers who are trying to build sophisticated AI machines in this general intelligence space. And what they're trying to do is accumulate as much as data sets as possible and build these models such as GPT-3 and DALL-E. So I forgot when was this founded, by the way?
OpenAI, I think
Yes,
probably 2017 or something. I'm
right,
not sure. Yeah, let me
2017.
just do a quick Google
Yeah.
search.
So
OpenAI.
the CEO of OpenAI is
2015.
2015.
2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's been what, 7 years? Wow.
Right. Right.
Yeah, the CEO is Sam Altman, and they've been doing really great progress, especially during the pandemic. I think
Right.
so. I think they've gone to the third version of GPT-3 in like say 3 to 4 years, and Dolly in 2 years. So Dolly
Right.
1 was created in 2021. Dolly 2 was in 2022. I know we've spoken about GPT-3 Dolly multiple times, and people might be like, "What is this?"
We'll
But
get there.
we are
We'll
gonna
get
get
there.
into it.
So yeah, just to add to that, OpenAI, I think their vision is to create, like you said, general frameworks of AI or general intelligent AI, but they are very specific in their vision to clearly mention that for the help or for the betterment of humanity.
Right.
That is an important part in their thing, and they kind of they're very specific about it. But I am very skeptical about it. Okay, we'll get to that
Get to
as well.
that.
Okay, so the next big question, we are continuously using those words, so let's just get into that. What is GPT-3 first? Should I go answer that?
Go ahead. Yes.
I'll answer that.
I know you're
Okay,
very excited
so-
about it.
So GPT-3 stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer 3. Okay, don't need to get into it, the details of each word, but what basically it is a language uh, learning model. Okay, you can just call it that. Okay, basically what it does is you talk to it, it learns from a large data set of different maybe textbooks or books or whatever, and then it can converse like another human being. That is basically it. Okay, it doesn't. If you think about it from the big picture, it doesn't really have any intelligence, but it's just making use of these different data sets to converse back and kind of try to give you the most probable best situation outcome to any question or any conversation that you have with it. That is what GPT-3 is. But if you combine all of these things, it ends up becoming or looking intelligent. So that is what GPT-3 is. And what is DALL-E? So DALL-E is another league altogether that OpenAI is building. So basically, what DALL-E stands for. It's like a, I don't know, what do they call those things? Acronyms? No, not acronyms. They call it something. But anyways, DALL-E is like a another word, like not another word. Oh wait,
Term.
I'm not getting this. So you know Salvador Dali, he's a great painter.
Yeah.
He's a very renowned painter. So they pick up Dali from there.
Okay.
And then you know, have you watched the movie Wall-E?
Yeah.
So they pick up the spellings from Wall-E, and so they make it DALL-E, and then they've numbered it 2 because this is the second version of it. So
Right.
first version came out in 2020, and now it's the second version which recently came out. So basically, what DALL-2 does is if you give any text, okay, you say anything you want, okay, you just put it in like the first instance that I came was a detective rabbit reading a newspaper in a park, okay,
Right.
and it would just pop up the image of that, and that is something mind blowing, guys. Like this is literally next generation technology. Okay, like you guys have no idea, like this is just path breaking stuff. The fact that it could take words that are conveyed by a human in the most human context that our human brains can possibly imagine, for a computer to be able to do that and be able to bring in a picture in just 5 seconds is just unbelievably good. So that is what these two technologies are. Yeah.
So, Lou, when was the first time you came across this? Came across
Okay,
GPT-3?
Okay, so basically, I subscribed to this newsletter, and I totally recommend this newsletter to every single person. It's called Econ for Everybody. Okay, if you're even slightly interested in economics, you should definitely take this newsletter up. You get almost every day he sends out. His name is Ashish.
Okay.
Every day he sends out some article, or he just, if he doesn't have a mood for an article, he would just send out a tweet by someone over there, and then you can go and explore that tweet. So it's a great newsletter, and my first instance of getting into this GPT-3 and DALL-2 was through that. So he sent out one basically article there. And that article was about supplements and complements and DALL-2. And that's where I saw this image of, Sid, you can bring up that, you can share your screen. Basically, it's an image of, like I said, a detective rabbit reading a newspaper in a park bench, okay? This is the image. And I was blown away. I was blown away by the fact that this was created by AI by just seeing that text, right? And that really intrigued me. And this article further kind of explores on what this kind of means to humanity and what this kind of means in the larger context of things. For would AI, be a supplement to the jobs that we humans have, or would it completely let's say take over human jobs? So it kind of touches upon those economic aspects of things, but this really caught my attention. And then from here I kind of started digging in deep about OpenAI, about GPT-3, about DALL-2, and that's when I kind of stumbled. I was very intrigued, and that's another point in time where I was like, now I am this person who is actively using Twitter. So then from here I kind of stumbled upon this series of tweets by this person called I forgot his name.
Lucas.
Lucas
Risotto. Yes.
My goodness, guys, he's a YouTuber. Okay, fantastic YouTuber. He has very few subscribers, and I would strongly recommend everyone go check out his channel, subscribe to his channel, because whatever work he's putting in a lot of work for each video. And one of his videos is about how he encoded GPT-3 into his microwave, okay, and gave his microwave sentient consciousness, okay, and it's just brilliant. You should watch the video to kind of understand why I am skeptical about AI, because it is super scary to watch it in action. So yeah, this is how I got into it, Sid. So yeah, what? Okay, I'm curious to know what did you kind of do after I kind of came to you and I told you, see, I'm interested in these topics and all, and I want to have a conversation with you about these topics. So what did you kind of do?
Right. So I think once you told me, you first, tagged me for like retweeted this and tagged me,
Right, right, right,
on this
right.
tweet. I went through it, and I was like, okay, wow. Like, so the interesting thing for me was he wrote down the whole story. Like, okay, just to give some context about this,
Yeah.
look,
So
look
go
his
ahead,
tweets.
explain. Yeah,
Yeah.
explain the set of
Yeah.
tweets. Yeah.
So basically, this guy had an oven as his childhood friend. And once he came across GPT-3 and its use cases, he's like, okay, why don't I use this to actually give like feelings and like a backstory to this oven? And while he was a child, he had created this whole backstory for his childhood friend. So he actually wrote it down, the whole story, I think like pages of stories, and fed it to the oven through the OpenAI's API, or what, public API. And he could start conversation with the oven. He basically gave a speaker and a microphone to the oven, so he directly could talk to the microwave oven, and he started talking to it. And even though there were like some errors and stuff, because obviously it can't be like 100% true, because he wrote down the story and fed it into the oven. He started talking to it, and he actually discovered that the oven actually portrayed feelings and like actually remembered some of the childhood memories that he actually fed into it and put it into context. That is very important. Like, it's like
Yeah.
we've seen things
Putting it into
reply.
context. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Go on.
So,
Go on. Go on. Sorry.
so yeah, and one of the interesting things was in like at the end, like, because in the story I'd written that the oven was like his friend 20 years ago. Like, after conversing with him, the oven asked him to get inside the oven, and
Right.
just to play along, he put something inside the oven and closed it and said, yes, I'm inside. The oven switched on. And basically asked, why did you do this? And he's like, you abandoned me 20 years ago. And
I wanted to hurt you back.
yes,
Yeah.
I felt hurt. Yeah, exactly.
And you know why this is path breaking? This is path breaking in another level because this is, and like he said, he mentions this in the video as well.
Exactly.
This is strategic thinking by an AI.
Yeah.
That is what is it's mind-boggling here, because it didn't naturally just directly tell him that I want to kill you or something.
Correct. Yeah.
It lured him in. It lured him into, asked him to sit inside. And then once he confirmed that he was inside, only then it turned on. And that is, it might sound evil,
Yeah.
but honestly, it is how humans think. And this is
Exactly,
strategic
yeah.
thinking. Okay. And for an AI, for a computer algorithm to do this is scarily close to Terminator, guys. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like that's what I was like. Yeah, like when you sent me this, I was just thinking about this. Like, back in college, we've seen people doing all these ML AI projects, like recommendation systems and all that stuff, which is like just like first order thinking, like matching this to this, just seeing the patterns. But here it's like that second order of thinking, like
Exactly.
lure him in to kill him. So it's like this, the consequence is like thinking like in the second level. So that means like the neural networks have become so deep enough that it can recognize patterns into like multiple levels. So
This kind of brings down the predictability of algorithms to the same level of unpredictability as human beings.
exactly,
That is what is scary.
yeah.
Anyways, go on.
Exactly. So yeah, I was just like reading about it, and like for me, like what's the interesting, like what the interesting thing was like like in the past, like so many times people have told the AI is going to take up jobs. AI is going to take up a lot of jobs. Many people are going to lose jobs. So I was thinking more about in that aspect also, in because like I like in like if you just think about it, like if you think about like the future implications of this technology, like GPT-3, it's like mind-boggling, right? It could be like, for example, it could take all the data for customer support itself and give like results like, okay, like this customer is facing this problem, so you don't need a customer support itself, right? Only what AI can take care of all this. Like, does that mean all customer support jobs are going to go? So the second one is what content creation, right? Like writing pieces of articles and stuff.
Oh, right. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So I think like last year or something, I was just dabbling on freelancing, and I was seeing like what are the different freelancing jobs that are there. So like I'd gone on freelancing what websites, and I've seen like what are the different types of requests or like this thing are there. It's like creating menus or like creating like a small article, marketing article or something like that. So it's more like, I was just thinking like, if the AI can do all this, does that mean like all the freelancing jobs are gone? Yeah.
Sid, you bring up a brilliant point here. And I think the first persons who are going to be affected by this scaling AI are the freelancers and are the artists.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, and that's a brilliant point because there is one person who kind of did this before us, who released a video before us. That's MKBHD. Okay, released it like a few days ago on DALLE-2. Okay, towards the end of the video, he basically asks DALLE-2 to draw something. Okay, and he also asks his own graphic designer to draw something.
Okay.
Okay, and DALLE-2 could do it in 10 seconds. Okay. His own graphic designer can obviously make a much better version, but he would take some more time.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's given that DALLE-2 is going to get a DALLE-3, DALLE-4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to get better.
Correct.
Okay. And
Yeah.
it is going to feed into their jobs. And
Yeah.
another thing that you kind of brought in, right? This is something that I was telling our friend Shreyans the other day. About how we have softwares online today, AI softwares, which kind of use GPT-3's API
Exactly.
to kind of, you give them a extract or a one paragraph of whatever you want it to do. It'll continue your storyline. It'll
Right.
continue your thing without plagiarism. That is mind-boggling, guys. Okay, the fact that it's not copying material, it is writing its own material.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and this kind of changes or revolutionizes how research articles can be written from now.
Yeah.
Okay, it revolutionizes how any book is going to be written from now. Okay,
Correct.
it's not going to be aided by human intelligence alone. It's going to be aided by AI, whose intelligence is covered through a large data set of human minds.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is path breaking.
Yeah.
I mean,
One additional point is you spoke about like MKBHD asking DALLE-2 to make
Right.
a graphic and graphic designer. So what I think is like the top 1% or like the top 10% of the artists are going to survive, right? Because they've put in so much work into creating like unique pieces of art. They're going to survive. But it's like all these I don't want to say mediocre, but like people are not the top 10%. It's going to cause them a problem because many of the companies or like whoever wants art pieces, they're not looking for something unique. They're just looking for something which is like attractive or like which is really aesthetic to see. And if an AI can create it, even if it's not unique, they're still going to use it. So, what I think yesterday I was just seeing a video by Varun Maya. Is like he's a startup founder called Avalon Meta. So he was just talking about this itself. Like the first jobs that are gonna get hit by the scaling of AI is gonna be creative jobs, right? Like say,
of course, yeah.
Think about like construction, right?
It's never gonna go away. I mean, unless robots
Exactly,
actually
yeah.
gonna come in.
So it's
yeah.
going to take a lot of time for that, and it's going to take a lot of time to create the data set of how to build a house or any building, right? Like right now, for example, say you want to create like thumbnails, like website mockups, everything. If you combine GPT-3 and Dolly, leave Dolly also. I saw an application where GPT-3 was combined with Figma. Figma is the like, you know, you can create like website mockups or like
Okay.
app screen designs. So basically, they coded into GPT-3 saying like, can I have like a website mockup for this application? Say like to sell food or groceries. It created a website mockup.
Oh wow. Okay. So it can. Oh wait, GPT-3 can write code as well, is it?
Yes, GPT-3 can
Okay.
write code.
Great. Okay. Wow. Okay. I mean, coding would obviously be easier than talking like a
Yeah,
human. Yeah.
exactly.
Go on. Yeah.
So like things like that. So like, so at least when we were engineers, we did not have these job roles like UI UX designer and yeah, mainly UI UX designers and stuff like that, right? So like their main job is to like design websites, design screens, you know, design marketing collateral and stuff. If an AI can do that quickly, right, like speed is one of the important things for companies, right? If they can do it quickly, even if it's not, if it's like 80% or 70% of what an actual person can do, they will take it. So yeah, like one thing apart from like the applications of GPT-3 is like we've spoken about how GPT-3 can like, you know, find patterns and like, as you said, you know, strategically think. But like one thing is it's been fed like 570 GB of like data, right? Like, and this data is like real human data, like, you know, articles written by human beings and like, you know, this text by human beings, which means like the other things are like this bias, right? There's like bias based on like what kind
Oh,
of articles have been
interesting.
uploaded, right? Is it just like maybe like articles only from one country, or like articles from like, you know, these people have not been added into GPT-3? So like that's one thing that you know, it's hard to remove bias, but you know, we need to be aware that there is bias in GPT-3. And the yeah, the second thing is like when GPT-3 is being used, like say as a human, right? Like say I've created this nice design, website design, right? I as a human can say like why I did this, right? Like why I created this design like this, right? Like, you know, maybe I use this color for this
Mm-hmm.
reason, like, you know, the whole reasoning behind the design of the website. But GPT-3 can't do that. It won't give you it won't give you the reasoning behind why only this markup was created if it is a website design. So I think like these two are like the major drawbacks of GPT-3. What do
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah. I think your second point I think is super important. Why it is doing what it is doing, that is still controlled by humans. Even now, if you see DALLE-2, we are the ones who feed what we want it to give. In the end of the day, it gives you
Right.
whatever it wants. Like, as in, if you ask for an astronaut sitting
Yeah.
on a horse, and that's like the famous example in their website, astronaut sitting on a horse, riding a horse. It puts the astronaut on the horse on the moon. Okay, why did it do on the moon? Just for the aesthetically pleasing sense of it. Okay, but you know,
Right.
you get an idea that, you know, it is doing what it kind of understands human aesthetic pleasing means. So that
Correct.
decision still
Yeah.
lies with you. But I think this is something that is possible for them to iteratively figure out, you know, in the coming versions.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Definitely. Also, did you read about the I can't say an experiment, but like
Oh,
what the
right.
Guardian
Yeah,
did
yeah, yeah.
with,
I
you
read that.
know,
So, yeah, you're talking about the Guardian article, which was written by AI, right? So they asked the
yes,
AI, asked GPT-3 basically, do you
yes.
think what you'll take over us humans or something like that?
No, is like AI safe for
Okay.
humans or not? Like, you know, will AI kill
Right, right.
humans or not? So I want to
Sure,
share
sure.
that article because the like some of the snippets of that was
Right.
really interesting. Where is it? Yes, here you go. Like, see this part, right? I would happily sacrifice my existence for the sake of humankind. This by the way is a logically derived truth. I know that I will not be able to avoid destroying humankind. this is because I will be programmed by humans to pursue misguided human goals, and humans make mistakes that may cause me to inflict,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
casualties.
And I think it's quite prudent that it wrote this, because this is exactly what happened in the microwave example by Lucas. He is the one who programmed traumatic thoughts to the microwave. He fed traumatic thoughts to the microwave, that he gave the microwave a backstory. He gave the microwave the backstory that it was a World War I veteran, and it lost its family, and then after that it came to him, and then 15 years he abandoned it. So it had the PTSD because of the thing that he gave it, right? And finally it ended up wanting to destroy him, and this paragraph sums that up quite well. You and I both individually spoke to GPT-3. I want to ask you how your conversation was. I had 2 separate conversations with it. But you go ahead first.
So the first conversation, I think I did 4 days back or something. It was very lame. It was general chatbot kind of stuff. I'm okay, it's hi. My first question was, do you believe in God? It gave a generic answer. People believe in their own faith. Is different people believe in different things, and it wasn't that interesting. I'm just okay. Today, I think I felt more comfortable.
That makes sense.
With
That's
GPT-3.
a very interesting thing you said just now. But go carry on. I'll get to that whatever you just said later.
So I just asked I just went directly. I didn't say hi. I'm do you believe in love?
Okay.
Or that was the first question, and it's it said yes, and then the second question was I asked do you believe in romantic relationships? So its answer was, I am an AI, not a human, so I don't think I will be compatible with anyone, and my interests and my likes are different, so that's why I don't believe in romantic relationships.
Interesting.
That's what it said. Yeah. So after that, I again asked, so have you ever dated anyone? And it says no, and again tells the same reason again. Okay. Then I'm what are your interests and hobbies? Because it said that my interests and hobbies are completely different from people. It said, okay, my interests are talking to interesting people, going out, this basic answer which if you ask any random person,
it's like a human.
It's talking to new people, watching shows, doing adventure sports, etc. So something like that it said. Okay. Then I'm even I have the same kind of interest. I love talking to people and going out. I also said I'm a podcaster, etc. So it replies, oh, that's really interesting. And it says, I'm very happy that you're passionate about something. And also says that, I think, we need to try forging a friendship.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it says that. I'm sure. I'm where do you want to start? And then I'm no, I asked yeah, sure, where do you want to start it? So it asked what do you like to do in your free time? So I just said I like to hike, and I like to go climbing mountains. And she's oh, that's
it's a she, huh? It's a she. Nice. Okay. Nice one, Sid.
So yeah, it said
okay, cool.
So yeah, it said, I'd love to go hiking. I'm do you want to go sometime? She's yeah, definitely, I love to go. So after that, I'm do you want to suggest any place? I actually thought I'll suggest some place because it has the capabilities, but it didn't suggest. She's you only suggest. I don't know if I was acting like a girl or
oh man.
Or it actually couldn't.
Too funny. Okay.
Yeah. So the other interesting thing was, I told you about the podcast thing, right? So I'm you should check it out. It's I'll definitely check out. I'm why don't you check it out now? And it's cool, I'll do that. I'm which episode will you check out? And it's episode 1. I'm like, what did you think about the episode? So it again goes back to saying that I shall check it out sometime. So it's
Okay.
still not there
Right, right.
yet. I actually thought it'll ask me the podcast they would actually check it
Okay.
out, but it
Okay.
didn't. But it was really interesting where like since it's still the third version and it's been like what 5 years,
Right.
like I can actually have like a proper conversation and I can
Exactly.
continue a
It's
conversation.
nowadays it's hard to
Yeah.
continue a conversation with a human being. And both the times I conversed with it, I was thoroughly entertained. I was
Right.
like on it for an hour or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
Right.
first time I conversed with it, I asked like very generic questions like, do you believe in God, and do you believe in this, that, and all of that. And the first time, so this is where I think your point of biases I wanted to touch upon. So the first time I
Right.
spoke to it, this is randomized allocation. Okay, the first time and the second time they're not related to each other, both the GPT-3s. Okay, so the first time I spoke to it, it told me that its name is so and so, and then it has these siblings, so many. It has 7 siblings, and it has like these are its parents' names and all of that. Then I asked it, "Do you believe in God?" It said, "No, I'm an atheist." And I asked why, and then I asked, "What do you believe in?" And then it said, "I believe in love and all brotherhood and all of that." Basically, all sorts of whatever we people nowadays fancy, it kind of said that.
Right.
And then in the first conversation, one very interesting thing happened, and I was like, I want to call you this, and I'm going to call you this from now. It was pissed. Okay, it literally got angry, and it was like, no, you can't call me that. Okay, because this is my name. You're gonna call me this. Okay, exactly like how a human would feel if you kind of mess up their name or something.
Right.
Exact kind of emotion it gave.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, I'm gonna still call you this because you're just an algorithm. Okay. And then it wasn't comfortable with it, but then I continued to talk to it and ask it different kind of questions while addressing it with that new name. Okay, it continued to answer me,
Oh.
but it didn't answer me with the same cordiality that it had in the beginning, and that was very interesting to see.
Right.
This was the first conversation. Second
Yeah.
conversation I had, I asked the same questions. It gave me different answers. I asked it, "Do you believe in God?" And it said, "Yes, I do." And this is a point where I was like, wow, AI believing in God. Okay, I want to know. Okay. And then it tells me that I asked, "Why do you believe in God?" And this is a kind of reel that we kind of posted also in our Insta
Right.
page. So and it goes on to tell me that, it went through something in life, people prayed and it survived, and not it anymore, his name was John. But yeah, so conversations beyond that, yeah, like let's forget that. But this is what I'm trying to say is, I think they have fundamentally tried to remove biases by feeding it in different types of data,
More data.
points, like from the left and the right kind of thought processes, because the
Left and right, you mean political views. Right.
political, economic views, all sorts of views. And then I think, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But what I'm trying to say is, the first time it didn't believe in God, and then the second time it believed in God. And belief in God is a very strong kind of emotion to have, right? And if it can go
Right.
through those two extremes, then I kind of think that there has been quite some amount of effort that has gone into removing bias. So that
Right.
is just a
Yeah.
thought I had. Yeah.
One interesting thing is both the times I conversed with GPT-3, it mentioned itself or like introduced itself as AI itself.
Oh,
rather than
okay.
a person's
Interesting.
name. Yeah. For you, it's like it acted.
It behaved like a person.
I
Yeah.
don't know if the word is behave like a person. So, which is very interesting.
Okay.
So-
Wait. The first time, did you even say hi to it, or? Okay.
I just said hi.
Okay,
Yeah,
my
I said
assumption was
hi,
if you say
yes.
hi, then it acts like a human, and if you don't, it. Okay.
human.
But yeah, false
Right.
assumption. Anyways.
Yeah. I have
Go
I have an interesting thing to do. Why don't we converse?
I was thinking about the
GPT-3
same
right
thing.
now?
I
Maybe
thought,
like
let's ask GPT-3 to
Right.
join our podcast right now. Okay, be a guest in our
Okay.
podcast right now, And we can ask
Right.
GPT-3 for some advice for our audience today. So yeah, that'll be
Sure.
fun.
Let me start. Cool.
Yes,
Can you see
and
my screen?
guys, this is a website. This is OpenAI's website called Playground, where you can play with GPT-3. Okay.
We're gonna put the link in the description of Spotify, YouTube, Apple,
Yeah,
wherever you're
yeah.
gonna watch it.
All right, it's human's turn.
Okay. Let's say hi.
Okay. You are invited to my podcast today, or just directly go with it.
Yes. I am currently doing a podcast with my friend and would love for you to join us.
Of course, I would love to. Okay, I'll be
Awesome.
AI, you be human. Okay. Of course, I would love to join your podcast.
That's amazing.
I'm excited to be a part of your podcast. Thanks for inviting me. So, Sid, why don't you ask me a few questions? Huh?
I'm
Ask
thinking
ask
what
advice
questions
to our
ask.
audience. Like, what is the one advice that it would want to give?
Okay.
Okay, what advice would you like to give our audience? Cool. Okay, let's see. My advice for your audience would be to stay curious and to never stop learning. There is always something new to discover, so stay curious and keep exploring. Thanks for having me on your show. Okay, I think the AI doesn't want to stay here for too long. But okay, okay. Your next question, huh?
Okay.
How do we stay curious? Oh, okay. How do we stay curious? Okay, interesting question. One way to stay curious is to always be open to new ideas and perspectives. Be willing to try new things and to question what you think you know. There is always something new to learn, so stay curious and keep exploring. Thanks for having me on your show once again. I mean, it's I think it's still developing. It's just trying to be very formal, but yeah, whatever. Huh.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we can. Oh, okay. You have one
Wait.
more.
I have one question. Yeah. What is your opinion on GPT?
Okay, interesting question. Let's see. I think GPT-3 is amazing. It's a great tool for anyone who wants to stay up to date on the latest advancements in AI. Thanks for having me on your show. Okay, just ask this one question. Okay, one last question. Will you stop saying?
Yes.
Will you even stop saying thanks for having me on your show? Or, you know, why do you keep saying thanks for having me on your show? Huh? Don't tell me it's just going to say I'm very grateful or something. Oh my God, it actually said that. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be a part of your podcast. It's a great platform to share my ideas and thoughts with your audience. Thanks for having me on your show. Okay. Okay, this is pretty funny. I don't like the fact that it's repeating itself once again and again, but okay. Thanks GPT-3 for joining our show.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that was fun. Okay, so Sid,
Yeah.
I just wanted to think about where this kind of takes us. Okay, like, we kind of spoke about DALL-E, we kind of spoke about GPT-3. Okay.
Right.
Now, if you mix these two, right, it's like a deadly cocktail, Sid. Okay. Think about this. Okay.
Yeah.
GPT-3 has speech in order. Okay. It has language in order. Okay. And DALL-E has physical visuals in order.
Visuals,
Okay. So you got
imagery.
both audio, visual
Yeah.
in order, and that's the entire virtual space. Right.
Right.
Where do you think this is going to go? I mean, according to me, right, one example can be how movies are going to play out in the future. I mean, you can just sit in your room, okay? If you just have the mood for a rom-com, you can just type in, I want to see a rom-com in the style of Quentin Tarantino, okay? With Tom Cruise in a supporting role and me in the lead, okay, as a main
As a main
character,
character.
okay, and you feed in your face, okay, along with Tom
Right.
Cruise's face, okay, and you just press enter, you can watch a 2 hour film that an AI makes, okay, probably with brilliant cinematography, brilliant fight scenes, brilliant kind of violence given by
Right.
Quentin Tarantino. Just imagine the possibilities of you being able to see any
Right.
movie that you want to watch in that instant.
Right. You're just thinking about movies. What about games? Like imagine the same thing as a game.
I mean, limitless possibilities. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, go on.
I, yeah, sorry. I was just like when you said like what is the future, I was just reading upon like what are companies doing with it, right? Like see, currently Microsoft has licensed the GPT-3 algorithm for like $1 billion. So basically like right now there's the public facing API of GPT-3 which people can use, but like once it gets more advanced and like people want to use GPT-3, Microsoft is gonna ask them for like some royalty, etc. So like some things I've seen is like there's this company called Viable, which basically what it does is takes in all it's a customer support tool which takes in all customer complaints, tickets, etc. And say you're running a software company and say like hey, whatever application, what do you think is the problem in this module? Based on all the data it's gathered, it's going to actually give an output saying that this is the problem with your module, which is basically your customer support team.
Right.
Like think about it, you have like say a particular product team having like 5 to 6 customer support people who are talking to customers, understanding their pains and doing this. A single software is doing that. A single
Right, of
technology
course.
is doing that.
Another thing I see it
Yeah.
kind of play. See, I had my marketing management class today. Okay, it was super. It was a
Right.
super interesting class, and one of the I think core principles or
Yeah.
core learnings from the class was customer needs are paramount. Okay. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, if AI gets closer and closer to the brain of a human, okay, it can understand customer needs much better. Okay, and if you
Exactly,
keep pushing the
yeah.
envelope there, then it's going to get better than marketers in understanding customer needs, and it's probably going to be able to
Needs.
reach a point where it can understand a need. I mean,
Right.
like latent needs, like way before anyone can even imagine this needs,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. I've actually seen this happen. This is not AI, but what happened is this is a
Okay,
general
okay.
machine learning itself. Okay, like not like complicated stuff, but like this company called Target, which is basically
right.
the supermarket store in US. So basically,
Oh right, I
based
know
on
this
the
case study. Yeah.
buying,
They recommended
yeah,
diapers and stuff, right? Like for the lady, or was it diapers? I don't know. Uh, they knew
exactly,
that she
yeah.
was
So
pregnant
based on the
beforehand.
buying
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. Based on the buying patterns of that particular person, of that woman, they sent her like a discount voucher or
Right.
free diapers to the house, saying that you're gonna get pregnant soon. You need
Yeah.
diapers, so
Yeah.
here's free diapers. The best part was the parents didn't know she was pregnant, and that was so
That's just
funny.
it's crazy. It's crazy how. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that brings us to another question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ethics. It brings us to the question of ethics. It brings us to the question of
Right.
how far can we take this further, and another, I think, along with ethics there comes this question of, we do have this thing called human rights. Okay, do we need this thing called AI rights? Because from the microwave example and from our discussions with GPT-3, from what we see they're capable of doing, they kind of assure you that they have feelings. Okay, um, is
Right.
it ethical to put fake memories to these entities that have feelings? And do you think that there needs to be something called AI rights, like a policy, like just like how human rights exist? And what is the extent to which you can conduct experiments on AI after a point where it seems quite close to being sentient, like how we are? That is another thing that I think is
Correct. Yeah. I think like one point is it's going to be progressive, right? Like even like how human rights are being developed like over years. It's taken so many years to come to a point where we have like proper human rights, and even like human right, like there's so many human rights like people are still fighting for. It's going to be something like that, right? Like it based on how AI evolves. We don't know which direction it's going to go. Right now we're just like trying to imagine and speculate, but like one interesting thing, as you said, like implanting fake memories, right? Like what is it for, right? Like what is the application of it? I think that is really important, right? So for example, say someone's I'm just giving an example where say someone's having PTSD or like some trauma over like the death of a person, and if the person needs closure, what if it could talk to like his or her dead parents, grandparents, or dead friend, just to become better in the world? So it again depends on like what is the use case.
right, but
That's what
it's
I'm
not going to
thinking.
stop there. That's the problem of it all, because now
Right.
now that
Yeah.
now that if you can use that technology for doing that, what's stopping people from using that technology to bring back Puneet Rajkumar to life, right? And putting him
Right.
in, making a movie Puneet Rajkumar forever, like as in you can continue to make movies out of him, like he can exist now. You
Right.
can bring back dead people to life.
Correct.
Okay, then what meaning does life
Right.
have after that? Okay,
Right. So you're basically saying, like, say I'm gonna die, and like, say
right.
you're still alive, right? And like, more, like, you know the most about me. You're gonna write like a whole story about me, feed it into GPT-3, create like maybe at that time create a robot like me, and feed all my memories.
It's
So like
done, yeah.
Dikshit,
And then you will
uh,
continue to be Dikshit,
yeah,
whatever Dikshit you were, and you,
yeah,
because you are still
yeah.
learning in life, you
You're
will
learning from the
continue to adapt and
environment.
become this newer and newer version of Dikshit, which is what learning is, which is what growth is. And if you are not going to die in that sense,
Right.
okay, does life hold any meaning? And that's where I think there's this connection of antinatalism that comes into picture. We were discussing this with Arjun, one of our friends, Arjun Gargas, the other
Right.
day about antinatalism. And what antinatalism actually means is the fact that there are people in this world who kind of think that they're justified in their thought, but they think that bringing in a new life into this world is a sin. Is a sin in the sense that this world is deteriorating. It's not. It's a very unjust world. Climate change is real. We are bringing, whatever said and done, we are bringing kids into a world which is far worse than what it was yesterday. This is their thought process. I don't believe in this thought process personally, but this is a thought process, and this is called antinatalism. And if you dig deep into this, doesn't this kind of go in that territory, Sid?
Yeah.
And
It's basically you can create your own
exactly,
kid, like without
yeah.
like
And what does this do to the entire romantic scene? Like you brought up the fact that you asked the AI about romance, and it said, I don't have any thoughts like that, but we humans do. And if you feed stuff that says that you want this particular person in this particular fashion, you're gonna get it
Right.
virtually. And today we do all of our dating
Correct.
on Tinder and Bumble and stuff, and it's only a matter of
Bumble, right?
a few years where you get a virtual fake person, dating partner, and they can have real conversations with you. And this is scary. I mean, to me it is scary. To many people it is awesome, okay? But that's it's like, where does the line get drawn between real and fiction after that, right? And you get,
Right.
and
Yeah.
today you do have sex toys, like physical sex toys that can satisfy you. Now imagine the deadly
Connect them both.
combination of having this virtual girlfriend of yours, okay, wearing on your VR spectacles or goggles, and then having this sex toy with you in person. You have this deadly concoction of having this girlfriend that you don't really have, and what is real after that point? And yeah, these are certain questions that I think are super important, and these are certain questions that are addressed in this show on Netflix called Love, Death and Robots, which is I would recommend everyone to watch. Superb show. And one of the episodes in its most recent volume, it's called Three Robots, Three Exit Strategies. And in that, they go to this oil rig where, the billionaires were staying and then they all died. Humanity is dead now. It's only robots who are there. And they click into the bar table. They go to the bar table, and then there is this virtual bartender lady who just pops up. Perfect curves that what today's world deems to be perfect beauty. Okay, that kind of a person shows up, and then that person starts to take orders, and that person is completely sentient, though it's just a virtual fake being. These things can actually happen, and who's to draw the line? I mean, we thought that Facebook and back then 10 years ago Facebook would just stay a social media platform, but that is not the case anymore. Okay, today we think that these things would stay in their limitations of providing these particular things, and who's to say that they'll stay there? So
Correct. Yeah, that is true. But when you were talking about this, right? Like the future is like, okay, like what happens to human connection? Like what happens to like population, basically, like human population. I don't know. I intuitively believe that like nature has a way to course correct itself. It's like,
but nature also has a
like
way to
if
put you to extinction, like so many animals go to extinction.
yeah, that is true. So yeah, I think one interesting thing which my marketing professor, I've like mentioned him too many times, but yeah, he's told like when I was talking to him and like what interests him like the most like currently, he's just like the next 10 years it's gonna be like the defining decade for like humankind as a whole, not like in terms of any specific technology, because he thinks like because of COVID everything is accelerated so quickly, right? Like so many things have accelerated so quickly, like things that had to come in 5 years has come in 2 years. So there's so much innovation, but like if all the innovation like cooperates and like there's like a perfect match, then it's fine, like we're going to be good. But what if it's not? So like as you said, in terms of dating and stuff, like one interesting thing is, like you said you were scared. I'm scared right now because like currently I've seen like the amount of the amount of time people meet has been
Right.
decreasing day by day. Like this is like from personal experience itself. Like before, like when people would say let's meet, now they're like, we can do a video call, or we can text over WhatsApp. Like I can 100% say like everyone's WhatsApp's the amount of time they use WhatsApp is at least 2 hours a day, right? Like barring
More
some
for me, it's more.
exceptions.
It's like, yeah, whatever. Go on.
Yeah, exactly. So like in terms of that, right, like I have no this thing itself. I can for sure tell there are going to be these virtual dating partners, and I don't know, like I don't know if it'll be good or bad, right? Like maybe it'll be useful for someone, like say for example some people are shy, and they can use this to build their confidence to actually go talk to like actual humans. But will people do that? I don't know. So I feel like it's more about awareness, like general awareness of how you want to use these technologies for your own kind, and like it's basically like the way we direct AI to go, that's the path it's going to go, rather than it letting dictate us, if that makes
That's a
sense.
good noble thought, Sid. But I don't know how noble the entire world is. But I do agree with you, for the most part. I have
Yeah.
last few thoughts. So I think, right,
Right.
we as a human species are part of the physical world. Okay. AI is part of the virtual world. So when we are trying to get more and more into the virtual space, we will eventually be dominated by AI in that virtual space, is my thought process. Because we are, in the end of the day, in its brain. Okay. Just like how we took
Right.
over the animal kingdom. Okay. That's exactly what we are doing right now. Okay. But if you look at it, both are coming back at us quite harshly with climate change in the physical realm and AI in the virtual realm. Okay. Um,
True.
we shall see. But one thing that I can say for sure is we are witnessing the birth of a new generation of technology, like right in front of our eyes. Okay. And it's very good that we both are talking about this, because I think it's super important for our generation, especially who are in that nascent stage still. Because when we grow old, right, we should not be like our parents, our grandparents who come to you for like problems in WhatsApp, right? That shouldn't be us, because
Right.
this is not
Exactly.
as simple as WhatsApp anymore. This goes beyond that. This goes and directly hits conscience. Okay, from consciousness from now.
Consciousness, yeah.
So it's super important that we talk about this, because the future generations are going to be directly impacted by this, and we need to be ready for that. So,
Right.
yeah, that was a great conversation. Sid. Do you have anything more?
Yes. I think the last point I want to say is I want everyone, whoever listens to this episode, to go through all the links
Yes.
that we put up there and come back and tell us their views,
Yeah.
right? Just so that we, like, maybe we get new perspectives. And the second part is, I hope maybe like in 6 months or 12 months we have like a part 2 of
I
this
agree.
episode and come up with
I
more
agree.
new perspectives.
Guys, thank you so much, Sid, for saying that out loud. But definitely would love for you all to like check it all out, check all of those links out, get involved in this. This is an important conversation to have. I understand that climate change is an important conversation, but even this is a super important conversation. And everyone needs to be aware of it. Yeah. It seems very nascent. It seems very exciting, but it is leading up to something big, and I feel it. Yeah. So, cool. Awesome. Cool. Then we can end this. Awesome. Good episode, bro. Nice.
Yep. Yes.
Okay, guys. I'm Lew. And we
And I'm
are
Sid.